everyone! We are back with another episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we review all things related to horror. But in this instance, a horror show. Tonight, or I should say today, it's not night yet, we continue with our review of The Fall of the House of Usher, episode number 5, The Telltale Heart. In this episode, hallucinations of the dead, confrontations with an evil, a raven, madness, this episode, I think, is probably one I've been looking forward to. The second one, or rather the second most well, you want to do your warm-up exercises. Don't forget, oh now, brown cow. Oh now, brown cow. Right. Oh now, brown cow. Oh now, brown cow. That's right. Oh now, brown cow. Cool. I got it now. Are you good? I'm good now. All right. Yeah. So this is the episode that I have been looking forward to. The second episode that I've been looking forward to. The first one I haven't seen yet. And I think that's the last one, which is The Raven. I've been looking forward to that one too. Because they happen to be, I think, probably the most well-known of Edgar Allan Poe stories. At least that I can remember. I remember an episode of The Simpsons that actually did both The Raven and The Telltale Heart. I remember Lisa had a little diorama of the beating heart, the Telltale Heart. Oh, I remember that episode of The Simpsons. That was probably during the Treehouse of Horror special events they do for Halloween. Yeah, I think it was. Anyway, the Telltale Heart. And around here, we like to talk about the things we like, the things we don't like. We tend to do a plot review and analysis, but we're going to skip all that because this is episode 5. We're just going to talk about the things we like and we don't like right in the middle of the story. So let's jump to it. This episode follows, again, now a very familiar and established format of flashbacks to 1979/1980, flashbacks to Back to the Future, Marty. So we flashback, we travel back in time, and then we find ourselves in the future. And most of the story is told in the past because all of the characters have died, as we were informed of during the first episode, and now we're just retelling, or rather not Russell Reed, but the character Roderick is retelling his story to Dupont. And for the audience, this is the first time we're finding out how all 6 of his children have died. 3 of them have died so far. Camille, Perry, and who else? I think Leo, right? That's right, Leo died. So then we're left with 3 children, and we don't know who's going to be the next one. And you know one thing I noticed in this episode? There is one child, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you're listening out there, point it out. Write it out in the comments. By the way, did you know we have social medias? Oh, do you do? What is it? We have, we have the Instagram. We have the Facebooks, and we also have a YouTube channel that, man, maybe do you think we should do videos of this? Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of camera shy. I would much rather just stay on the radio. It's like my mom told me that, you know, son, some people just born to not be on TV. You might just be one of them people. But don't you worry. You're still lovable. Your mom told you that? Oh, yeah. She was just a straight shooter. She didn't mess around. Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. Okay, I would much rather prefer not. Maybe I can be like a disembodied voice or something. That would be fun. Yeah. I'll be on camera and you could stay in the background somewhere. Okay, well, I like that idea. Yeah, I don't want to be on camera like ever, honestly. Okay, cool. Anyway, YouTube, Instagram, there's a Facebook page. What else do we have? Do you have the X? I haven't made one of those, should we? I mean, you kind of have to, right? And what, the TikToks as well? Yeah, well, who's going to do the TikToks? Who's going to be making content for the TikToks? I was actually kind of hoping it would be you. Oh no, I can't be on camera. That's just too much. Like I said, even if it's the little short TikToks, I don't think I can do that. Maybe we should hire somebody to be on camera for us then. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, we should do like a TikTok person for the TikToks. Okay, I'll think about it. But anyway, as I was saying, there's one character who I don't think has had any interactions with Verna thus far in the story. And I may be wrong, but if I am or if I'm not, let us know. Maybe, are you supposed to mention the handles? Oh, I think you're supposed to say all that stuff. Instagram at Rick's Horror. At Rick's Horror. That's it. It's simple, right? Oh, I like that. I thought you were going to have like super complex name and real weird, like people gotta, let me bring out my phone and write those down. Oh, the thing, because sometimes they're just really long. Nope. Simple. Rick's Horror. RICS Horror. No K. Oh, well, not just gonna confuse them by saying all that. Just say Rick's Horror. Rick's Horror. Anyway, as I was saying, for the second time, Verna has not had any interactions with Frederick. Frederick, has he? I don't think they have interacted. Which leads me to believe that Frederick, the heir to the Usher Empire, the firstborn, the eldest, if I'm not mistaken again, is going to be the last person to be killed. Or maybe he actually doesn't get killed and maybe he's, well, as we found out now, and we can bring that up now, in one of the scenes, wow, what a great segue there, huh? Oh, you're getting good at this. Thank you. In one of the scenes with Roderick, well, not one of the scenes, but, the typical scene where it's Roderick and Dupont and Roderick are discussing, the events that have led to the state of affairs that they find themselves in that gorgeous, dilapidated old house with the paint peeling, candle lit, where it's dark, but it's not too dark. And where Roderick's mother once tried to kill him. I think we need to bring that back, don't you think? I think you should do it.
Mama. Don't kill me, Mama. You're choking me. Oh, Lord. Oh, I'm dying, Mama. Please, don't choke me.
Where Roderick's mother once tried to choke him to death. Anyway, they continue the conversation. They're drinking a little booze, and they're sitting in these couches that are amazing. I think there's a fire lit behind Roderick, if I'm not mistaken. There's a chimney. And this is where Dupont reveals to Roderick that there actually wasn't an informant. And that the whole thing was a charade, that he stooped down to the Usher's level. Because as we saw in this episode, again, in other scenes as well, it sort of feels like the judge is being very lenient towards the Ushers. And I think maybe Dupont really, obviously he stated that on several instances where he says that the law never seems to apply to them. They always somehow get away with things. And it seems like maybe, just maybe, it's happening here again too. So he made up this informant person that was actually never real. But I'm thinking that's a lie. I think Frederick was actually feeding information to Dupont. I mean, we know that they have a history of being informants, right? This is another scene. Wow. Oh, no, you're tying two scenes with your dialogue here. That's real good. It's right, because we know in the flashbacks to 1979 and 1980, which is a scene where we have Roderick and we have Madeline and we have Roderick's first wife, whose name escapes me. And they're discussing all the things that could be happening at Fortunata. And they're discussing primarily a conversation that now we shifted a little bit. Now it's not Roderick and Rufus, the CEO of Fortunata. Now it's Roderick. I'm sorry. Now it's Madeline who pays him a visit, who pays Rufus a visit. And the conversation, well, let's get to it, huh? So Madeline is now in very evidently in a different shit than Roderick's at. Roderick, but she finds herself in Rufus's office, and they're having a conversation about computer. Computer, bring me a coffee at once. And Madeline's pitching the idea of a computerized system for record keeping to Rufus. Well, Mr. Rufus, wouldn't it just be darn handy to have all those documents readily available at the click of a mouse whenever you need them? I don't think the mouse was available in 1979 or 1980. I think that came around with the invention of the Apple II, if I'm not mistaken. Wow, you're a computer historian as well? Well, I like to dabble a little bit in the computer science. I've written my fair share of programs. Nothing too fancy, just animate some menial tasks that I just think could be much better done by a robot. Wow. What are you doing here? Well, I just like horror. I like talking about horror. Oh. Anyway, she's pitching this idea for a computerized system. And she sits there and she continues to tell Rufus, well, Mr. Rufus, it's the way of the future. And Rufus, surprisingly, did not light up a smoke. He stands there for a second pondering and listening. Attentively. He's only listening attentively, as we found out, because he's attracted to her. Only reason she's there, as he makes it out very clear, is, you listen to me. Your little computer idea. You think you're the first person to walk in here with a computer idea? I get computer ideas all the time. But you listen to me. I don't want a 3 foot by 3 foot system that takes 6 floors to contain. Those computers, I've seen them. They're too long. I've seen those calculons. They're huge. They consume a lot of power. They take huge amounts of floors and space and real estate. But she tells them she's aware of their plans to move to a different building, and they're expanding. Well, Mr. Rufus, I heard you're moving into a new building. These computers, they only get smaller as time goes by. In fact, the microprocessor actually doubles in speed almost every 18 months. Did you know that? What? Did she really bring that up? Nah, she didn't bring that up. But because, it's the relevant thing to say. She's very much she knows exactly what she's talking about when it comes to computers, and Rufus doesn't. He's aware that computers are giant, but he's not aware of where the technology is advancing to, and how eventually, after 1980, the computer would get much smaller. So he shoots her down. Listen, Madeline. Your computer idea, it's very convenient. You walk in here just a couple of days after your brother had been talking about, all the records in the basement. And now you come in here with a computer idea. Oh, Mr. Rufus, it's just a computer idea. Me and my brother have nothing to do with this idea altogether. In fact, I'm the real brains of this operation. Look here, Madeline. Don't fuck with me. You understand? Fuck with me. I like you. You're hot. But don't fuck with me. Really, conversation goes nowhere. It really just seems that she's there, or he's being paid attention to because he's attracted to her. And he's just being very vulgar and terrible with her, and you can see she's rather uncomfortable. At the very least, she seemed uncomfortable during the scene. But the real reason Madeline is there is to size him up. And also, don't forget, Rufus actually knows about the fact that they are actually Longfellow's kids. Longfellow, he's the former CEO of Fortunata. That's right, yeah. Yes. So Rufus, he goes on to tell a story of how, everybody in the office knows. We all know that you guys were the bastard children of Longfellow. Your mother, she was a full-service secretary. You could be doing a lot more work here in this office, sitting in that desk, than you could do on your own, running a company on your own. Now, why would a woman want to run a company? 1980, huh? Actually, I think sexism in society maybe not as rampant or as bad as it used to be, but definitely still exists today. Agree. Anyway, we move on from the scene, and he's very much not interested in anything she has to say. He was just wanted to see her. She was attractive, and he wanted to have a conversation with her. Nothing else. But Madeline goes back now and reports to everybody in the apartment, including Roderick, that now they've sized him up. They've sized him up, and they know exactly what they're dealing with. And in the apartment scene, we have Roderick, we have Madeline, we have Roderick's first wife, and we also have Dupont. And so now this is where they're all starting to, again, back to the informant thing, how Roderick could potentially be an informant. Well, it turns out that Roderick was an informant against Fortunata. So it also runs in the family, in a sense, right, to be an informant for Fortunata. I mean, it kind of does, considering Roderick was the first one to do it. So maybe it's Roderick now trying to dethrone the king. Maybe so. But anyway, we move to the future. Back to the future, Marty! And we see another scene of... Actually, this is now a different scene because we're in the church and we're mourning the loss of Perry, Camille, and Leo. But now the church is full. In fact, their mothers are also at the church. But Roderick now sees hallucinations. He continues to see hallucinations. But for some reason, he always sees Perry. So he sees Perry immediately in front of him. And he looks off into the distance where the caskets of his 3 children lie side by side. He sees hallucinations of Camille in the middle, Leo to her right, and Perry to her left. So now these hallucinations, we know that he has Caddystil, and these hallucinations are becoming more vivid and more frequent. And just after because everybody in the family of the remainder brothers and sisters in the family are now having a conversation at the bar that they bought out because, they're super rich. And they're talking about how, they could have also been real strong because they were like the firstborn children or, at least the eldest. And how they could all be banding together. We got to put the band back together. But of course, they can never come to any agreement. And, their discussion turns into an argument. And eventually one of them storms out, angry at the other. And that's sort of it. And then we move on to another scene where Madeline now is visiting Victorine. And Victorine's very suspicious of this, right? Like Victorine is... why is everybody taking such an interest in her project now, right? So Madeline's like, well, Victorine, that heart mesh of yours is a real important thing for a very VIP person. You know what I mean? It's a very VIP person, and we're gonna need that very soon. Victorine's like, first it was father, and now you. Who is this VIP person that requires this hot mess, love? We're moving into human trials, but it takes some time to get there. Do you know what I mean? It's not just simple as plug and play. Oh, that's a good computer reference. Thank you. Things need time to set up, love, but what do so soon? Just get off my back a little bit. Anyway. We move to now another scene of an important one because now we are really starting to put the picture together. Remember that scene in the last episode where Roderick is like, enhance! And I made fun of it because it was very CSI stuff, and clearly some of the writers were fans of CSI and how funny and stupid that is. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a funny scene though. He was like, enhance. Oh, you're doing voices now. Well, I said I wasn't going to practice, but, what the hell. Enhance. Good, you're getting there. Anyway, they actually enhanced it. So they they wound up playing to that card anyway. Or playing that card anyway. And they actually wound up enhancing the pictures. And now Madeline can see that the person in those pictures is Verna, the woman, the bartender from the bar in 1979, 1980. Now they are in the show. We know that this is an important date, an important night. The audience knows, I should say. But now the characters are also have been acknowledging this. And so now Madeleine and Roderick start to have a conversation about this faithful New Year's Eve night in 1979, 1980 in front of Hank. And initially, Roderick is hesitant. I thought we don't discuss that. That's not even my rule. That is your rule. You said we never discussed that outside of, well, just me and you. But now you have Hank here, and now you're freely discussing this. The rules not mean anything to you anymore. But of course, the reason why she's discussing it is because she's taking a different attitude. Initially, I thought that maybe she was going to say that, Verna's some kind of demon that doesn't age. But no, it's very logical, computer scientist. Well, Roddy, seeing as you like to sleep with anything and everything that walk, maybe this is another one of your illegitimate sons that happens to look exactly like the bartender. So tell me, Roddy, did you and the bartender have a child that I don't know about? And they'd shown Madeleine kissing the bartender earlier in the flashback to 1979, 1980. There was another flashback to that scene at the bar, but, well, I guess it's worth mentioning now. They are talking about Verna is asking Madeleine if she'd made her New Year's resolution and what it was. And, essentially she said rich or famous, and she's so rich. And then they kiss. And then she tells Roderick to go make sure he also kisses somebody and make sure that everybody sees and that she doesn't forget. And that's sort of the scene from that bar again. So they figure out they don't know that it's actually the same character, but they think now it's an illegitimate daughter of Roderick, and that she's now out, and she could potentially be the one that's killing everybody or causing their deaths because she wants in on that heritage. And she wants to be first in line. But if that's the case, shouldn't she have killed the first ones? Or rather, the eldest children first? I mean, I don't know the line of succession, but I mean, that kind of makes sense. Unless he had like favorites, and we don't know what his will is at this point. So, I mean, it could be anybody, really. Anyway, I mean, the logic still stands. And then we go to another scene of Tamerlane and her boyfriend or her husband, Bill, and they're arguing. And Tamerlane is now hallucinating that she's seeing Verna with Bill. And that she's seen him, quote, I seen you with that woman 4 times. Don't you dare lie to me, Bill. I know she's there. I know you're sleeping with that woman. Bill's like, you crazy? You're falling off? He's like, you haven't slept. He said, you haven't slept in a long period of time, like horror movie long. Isn't that funny? That's some funny writing. Like they wrote the fact that she hasn't slept horror amount of time in a horror show. That's real funny. That's like Inception funny. Yeah. A joke inside a joke? I mean, I guess we'll call it that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So anyway, move forward. And now, what's interesting here is I think we start to get a sense for who the next victim is. There's a scene of Victorine with Verna again, who's supposed to be her patient for the surgery. Well, Dr. Ali's person for the surgery, Dr. Reese. And she's signing documents, and, Verna's very interested in talking to Dr. Reese. But, she doesn't know what happened to Dr. Reese yet, but the audience knows. In a scene earlier, there's an argument between Victorine and Dr. Reese. And the argument was about Victorine scheduling this surgery without even giving Dr. Reese a chance to talk to the patient, look at her medical chart. And she has this surgery for this, experimental device scheduled for next week without having any preparation done. Of course, the professional that Dr. Reese is, she has a problem with it, and she tells Victorine, and they have a discussion and an argument, I should say, most in Victorine's home. And Victorine, very long argument short, like Victorine is like, well, Dr. Reese, you must do this, love. Well, you shouldn't say Dr. Reese. I like, you must do this, love. I'm sorry, you've been quite busy. I tried to get you the documents to you, but you've been busy all week, love. There's not much I can do. You work too much, love. You should spend some time with me. Maybe we could discuss small things like this. I'm sorry. It just kind of, I don't know. I just forgot to tell you about it, love. I'm quite sorry, really, but what can I tell you? I've been working a lot, and you've been working a lot. It's no big deal. Surgery scheduled for next week. You'll meet her then. You don't need to see who she is. She's a patient. She's one of your patients. You probably just recognize her when she's on your operating table and you've got the scalpel in hand. It's no big deal, love, really. And Dr. Reese is like, you scheduled me for a surgery and didn't tell me about it? Not happening. And they continue to argue and continue to argue. But the long of it, or the short of it, is that Dr. Reese has had enough. She's had enough of Victorine and all this nonsense that she's been putting there. So she threatens, I will reveal everything. I will reveal everything about you ushers to the media. I don't care about an NDA. I don't care if you ruin me, Victorine, whatever your name is. I don't even remember. I will ruin you. You will be ruined. I am out of here. And this relationship, it is over. Do you understand me? It is over. And she storms or tries to storm out the door, and in a fit of rage, Victorine grabs the bookend shelf and launches it and knocks Dr. Reese. Well, we don't know, right? Initially, they cut it there, but we're just going to jump right to it. She threw the bookend and and it hit Dr. Reese right in the back of the head, and obviously knocks her to the ground, and she starts to bleed, and she still has an opportunity to potentially save her. Victorine does, but she starts to dial 911 and eventually doesn't. And she closes the door that Dr. Reese was about to walk out of. Closes the door and just literally lets her bleed to death there, because the Usher empire came before absolutely anything else. Her ego came before Dr. Reese. Ali, her former girlfriend, now dead girlfriend, murdered girlfriend, really. And she gets dumped. And the reason for that, or the reason for the argument actually, is again, this is all runs in the Usher family, right? Nothing is out of the ordinary here. That's right. This is a very important fact. Victorine had forged Dr. Reese's signature on the medical data that they were using for the devices. Not unlike her own father's signatures were forged, and he was completely okay with it. So now she's the one performing the forgery, when initially her dad was okay with the forgery happening. So all in all, in the Fortunato family and the Usher family house, everything is shady and everything is crooked, and that's just normal operating conditions. After this event happens, she's visited again by Madeline, and the important thing of this episode is that she starts to hear the telltale heart, right? And I should have mentioned this earlier during that visit, and I kept it so short, but she hears a heart. A mechanical one. And it whirls. What is that? Do you hear that? Do you bloody hear that? What is it? I can't... Is it the smoke detector? Do they sound like heart to you? I can't take it. And take the smoke detector off. And she takes the smoke detector off when she speaks with Madeline. And she also hears it during her conversations with Verna. Now, Victorine, I really do want to see Dr. Reese. Oh, that's all fine, love, but do you hear that? What is that? Can you hear that, Verna? She doesn't call her Verna because she doesn't know who she is. What in the bloody hell is that knocking? That mechanical railing. And she looks at a picture, or rather the statue of the Golden Heart behind. And the show starts to allude about the Telltale heart there. And it continues for the entirety of the scene. And it's driving her mad to figure out what this knocking is. What in the bloody hell is that mechanical knocking, whirling? Oh, I'm losing my mind. And it presents herself in every scene that now Victorine finds herself in. And the most important one, near the end game, and the last scene, or really the most important scene, Roderick pays her a visit, her father, in her home. What bloody hell is it? It's like loud music in the background. Well, it's me, your father. Open up, Victorine. There's something we must discuss. Victorine, I have something important to tell you. But Victorine, damn it, Victorine, turn the goddamn music down. Oh, right, father. Sorry. Is that better? A little better, but I can still hear it, damn it. Lower it. Victorine, I'm the person who needs that damn thing. Your heart mesh. What did you say, father? I can't turn it down because you say... What are you talking about, Victorine? I don't hear anything. Wait. I do hear something. What is that? And now they both hear the mechanical whirling. And it grows louder and louder and louder still. But now we really start to see where this is going. And Roderick gets up. And then he says, what in the damnation is that smell, Victorine? And he starts walking around her apartment or home. Not sure exactly what it is from the perspective that we've gathered. And I think there's an exterior shot. It might be a house. Opens the door. A door. Followed the scent trail. Like the great CSI detective that he is. He's a real guy at CSI stuff. He's a real fan. And in that room, he finds the remains of Dr. Reese, who was in fact killed by that blunt force trauma to the head. Well, that's a very medical description of that. I would just said the exact same thing. And he sees now the source of the mechanical whirling. It's the heart mesh. And we see that it's in fact keeping Dr. Reese's heart pumping, even though she's quite dead. And his disgust and astonishment. He tells Victorine, You're funded, Victorine. You're completely funded. He's in shock from what he's seeing, and Victorine's like, well, thank you, love, father. I love you quite much, really, but I can't leave. Victorine, we must leave, Victorine. You're completely funded, but we must go. Well, I can't leave, father. You see, she must apologize to me because, all this is her fault, really. But she can't quite apologize to you, can she, Victorine? She's dead. She's dead, damn it. And that's when Victorine, finally descends into the madness. In fact, realizes that she is infected. Oh, Dad, you're right. Oh, she's quite dead, isn't she? Oh, well, conveniently I had this knife, which I threatened you with just a second ago. I'm sorry about that. But I'll just stick it into myself. And stabs herself right in the middle of the chest. And commits suicide, unfortunately. And that's the end of it. That's the episode. We're going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. The Telltale Heart. Episode 5 of The Fall of the House of Usher. And it was a good one. What do you think? I think I like this one too. I like the last one too, actually. But this one was good too. I did like this one. Again, remember, we are now on the socials. At Rick's Horror on Instagram. At Rick's Horror at the YouTubes. At Rick's Horror everywhere. Thank you for joining us if you're still listening. And stop by here for the next episode. And stop by. Say hi on the socials. Until next time, this is Rick from Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show. Goodbye.